I've had many vices. I've had many bad habits, many things that I would gravitate towards that were not serving me. And the best way that I was able to fight this through was literally having competitive relationship with diet. If you're controlled by the foods that you eat, you're gonna be controlled by all of your vices. So this is my gangsters winning secret number 2. And if you did not watch episode 1 of this series, make sure you do that because they're all in sequence set up like that for a reason. Not by most important, but just by most effective. And I feel like what will most apply to my audience. Go ahead and like, subscribe if you haven't. Drop some comments in the comment section so I can answer back, engage with you guys, get to know you guys a little bit more, and we go from there. So, winning secret number 2 was how I disciplined and really killed all temptation, all my vices through dieting. Diet is your strongest form of self discipline. All right, this was said by many of the greats. I'm not making this shit up. You can go ahead and do your homework. Gandhi, a lot of these guys that were very big on like the philosophical stuff, I've studied them. I've heard a lot of them quote this, and I really did not understand or even believe it, to be honest, until I experienced it from my own. So hearing it from me, if you weren't able to take it from one of the other guys, or you probably heard this from before, and I can relate and I'm more compatible to you, let me tell you my story, my experience, how it all started, and where it's at right now. So when going into prison, obviously we're limited from eating foods that we used to eat. So yes, just that alone already forces you to, kind of work on what the fuck you're consuming, because at night you're going to be eating out of a processed box for your whole day, and that wasn't an option for me, right? So in there again, we have very limited resources. Yes, you can have plugs and connects in the kitchen where they will get you your vegetables, or they'll get you your animal based proteins or your eggs, but that wasn't for everybody, and that wasn't the case for me in all of my prisons, at least at the very beginning. So when I got to prison, I had to learn, and I've already been into exercise for a very long time. I've gone through all the phases, but it wasn't until I started this journey with this approach that I really locked it in. So I started to really kill all my temptations, whether it had been, smoking weed, wanting to drink, the temptation that I had with just having the affection of a woman. I've had many vices. I've had many bad habits, many things that I would, gravitate towards that were not serving me. And the best way that I was able to fight this through was literally having a almost competitive relationship with diet. I would literally talk to my food while I'm eating, and I would say, as bad as this should taste, this is the best shit on the compound. And it's not only gonna help me with my physical goals, because that's where it all started. I'm gonna be completely honest, right? It's not only gonna help me with my physical goals. I had to eat this bland ass, rubber tasting ass chicken. All right, if I wanted to get the amount of protein that was in there. But not only that, I started to really tell myself, Eddie, if you can eat this bland of this fucking raw ass, chicken with no seasoning, no nothing on it, what makes you think you can't hold yourself back from, wanting to go fight somebody? Because that was also a very destructive habit that I had. What makes you think that, you can't go back from wanting to, like, look at the women correctional officers, or just weird, like weird fucking thoughts that I would have in my mind, how I would combat them through nutrition. How would I not want to now, being that weed wasn't accessible, smoke that K2 shit that was going on in the compound, which is known on here as incense, or I don't know what the fuck it is, but this was very heavy, very, very heavy in the compound. And it was almost like a substitute for weed or even cigarettes, just in between. It was like some artificial shit that really fucked people up. So this was me disciplining myself through foods not to resort back to this old shit. And I would literally talk to myself at every sit down. Eddie, if you cannot eat these plain ass green beans with this chicken or with this tilapia, which fucking tasted horrible. I remember it was fish patty Tuesdays every Tuesdays. This shit tasted more fake than I can even fucking tell you what. I can't even compare it to anything out here. But it was so horrible, and I would literally eat this shit knowing that this is the only way I'm gonna get my physical goal. This is the only way I'm gonna remain strong, remain healthy in case the shit goes down. We're survival of the fittest in there, right? So that's how it all started. Then it started to progress into me thinking like, okay, Eddie, if you can eat this for this amount of time, if I've been sticking to this shit so strict for this amount of time, I'm not gonna go back out there and be tempted to pick up a pistol, be tempted to go, break down a bag, cut up some rock. I'm not. That's not even a thought anymore. If I'm able to eat this horrible ass shit, you understand? This is how I learned to first start to discipline myself. This is what I teach all of my clients. If you're controlled by the foods that you eat, you're gonna be controlled by all of your vices. You're gonna be delegated and puppeted by people who actually have a mind and are smart enough to manipulate you when food does it. Do you understand that food cannot fucking manipulate you? Food doesn't have a mind, it doesn't have a voice, it doesn't have a fucking heartbeat, but for some reason it has so much control over you. So think about learning to control your temptation to eating all the wrong foods or just too much of it. If you can get that under control, which in all essence is getting yourself under control, right? Self-control for yourself. What makes you think that you can't start to have more control of everything outside of yourself? You're understanding that concept. It all correlates. It all correlates. If you have no control over yourself, you will have no control over a person in traffic who just wants to get you angry, a spouse who's manipulative and just wants to fucking take you for everything you got, a coworker who uses and abuses you, or a supervisor, whoever it is, right? You're gonna get fucking walked all over if you cannot control yourself. And the simplest form of self-discipline, simplest meaning that you know what to do. It's not easy. It wasn't easy for me. But that was my approach. When I sat down, again, the first goal was to say, Eddie, if you really want this body, if you really want to look a certain way, if you really want to be healthy and strong and able body and just ready for whatever comes at you, right? And then again, you had to be ready. You had to stay fucking ready. It wasn't getting ready. You had to stay ready. Survival of the fucking fittest. And if I couldn't discipline myself through foods, and I was the one caught short because all I was doing was, I have my guards down, and all I'm doing is, eating all this processed shit, all comfortable, laying back in my bunk, and someone wanted to come after me. Of course. And there, forget about it. You're done. Out here, it's not that serious because while you're, lapped up in your fucking couch, chugging away your bottle of wine, your 12 packs or whatever the fuck at night, and your spouse is out there cheating on you, you're oblivious because you're watching the news, which is instilling more fear. You're living in such a complacent state instead of consciously, right, putting the right foods on your plate that you're gonna have to put the effort in wanting to eat. It's not that easy when you start this, but again, it's fucking simple. So this is how I really got to a point of now I just love to eat healthy. I'm at a point where I've been doing this for so many fucking years where if I deviate and I eat some shit that's not unhealthy, that's not healthy, I'm gonna be against it. I'm not gonna fucking like it. Me va a quedar mal. I'm not gonna want to fucking eat food because my palate has changed, my taste buds has changed. I know when I eat food like that, I just get super low on energy. I feel like shit. I'm dragging through the whole day. That's the power of nutrition when you're a high performer. But again, if you're just starting this, if you come at nutrition with an approach of, okay, if I don't let these vegetables, this plain old chicken, because under my program, you don't have to eat plain chicken. That was just my choice. And under the circumstances that I was at, I really had no other option. But my clients, if they can stick to their food that I give them consistently, right? And not be tempted to eat some shit, drink some shit that's not on the meal plan, It's the same exact discipline and willpower you're gonna have when you need to say no to somebody instead of always saying yes, instead of always being walked all over and manipulated. It's the same resistance that you're gonna have instead of just giving in like you give into food. Again, there's a connection there, but it all starts with you. Learn how to discipline, learn how to structure, learn how to master yourself through nutrition. Exercise and nutrition is a gateway to self mastery. I'm a firm believer. Why? Because this is how you learn to master yourself. First, you have to learn how to understand it, then you learn how to control it. Eventually, you learn how to master it. Once you master yourself, which is what I did, which is what took me the longest and which was the hardest, everything else fell in line. My business, my relationship, the influence I have over people, my influence on my children, my influence on the people who I've done so fucking dirty, how that's completely changed because I've mastered myself. Take what I'm saying here with a grain of salt, apply it. Let me know how it goes.